because it's where I started. It's how I started. It's the only way I was able to break through and transcend the boundary of normal life. Because if I didn't do that, if I didn't wake up and work on myself in those earlier days, guess what? I wouldn't be here today. I'd be doing the same things everyone else is doing, and I wouldn't have the time for myself. I most probably wouldn't be the person I am today, and I wouldn't get to do the things I really care about. Wake up and go to work on yourself before you go to work for anyone else. That's got to be one of my original works, long before I even started before 5 a.m. That philosophy, that ethos, pretty much sums up the before 5 a.m. story. It's all about waking up, working on yourself before you go to work for anyone else, or do anything else, or give your energy to anyone else. And I remember, it must have been early 2007, around that period, where I had to transition myself and had to really give myself and my gift the time to grow. And it wasn't going to happen not between 9 to 5. It was only going to happen before I woke up. And in those days, I would wake up early, about 4:30, and work on myself. I'd do my workout, I'd write in my journal, I would work on some ideas, I would piece together my life, and I even put together what you guys call the blueprint today, back in those days, for my own life. And it was the work I did in those early hours of the morning which were pure, and they still are my favorite hours of the day. No one bugs me, no one calls. If you got some debts, for debt collectors don't call before 5 a.m. So that's always a good time to get up and work on yourself. If you have kids, they're usually asleep. But mind you, they do get up early. So it's a model and an ethos and a story of before 5 a.m. more than just a piece of work for me. I used to wake up early to do the things which I'm now known for, but I really wanted to make that, I really wanted to make it part of my life when I originally wrote that, and I wanted to make it part of other people's lives. If I could turn my life around and build the life I have today and do the things I do today because of the work I did while I had a full-time job, then anyone could. And when I'm looking at this, I'm looking back at it, I'm thinking of all the memories. It always meant a lot to me to put this piece of work together, because it's a framework for everything I speak about. Working on your gifts and talents, giving yourself time, building yourself up. How often do we give ourselves a chance to build ourselves up? When exactly in the day are we gonna build ourselves up? And I wanted this question my whole life. Where does that fit into career and life and friends? And I think when I look at this piece of work, and this would be one of the earlier pieces of work, maybe 2015, this particular rendition would have been 2016. But the earlier stuff, when I was most probably not that graphically aware or that good in the early days, would have looked very different. But the message stayed the same, and it stuck with me my whole life. And obviously I built a whole organization and brand around that. And before 5 a.m. is not really necessarily just about waking up early, but it's the name and the philosophy I use to embody all the things we do. And it's just a reminder. For me, looking back at that now, it's a reminder of how things used to be. It wasn't ever going to happen for me if I didn't write all those words in my journal in the early days. Almost all the work you see on Before 5 a.m., almost all of it was created many, many years before there was such a thing called Before 5 a.m. It was written in my journals. It was written down on pieces of paper. I was crafting and trying to understand my own life and the world, and studying different parts of life and philosophy of how to build one's life. And they were, a lot of the time, they were my personal notes. And all those notes were pretty much made when the sun was coming up or when the sun was going down, but they were my notes, my words, my feelings. And what, I guess when I look at this post, this artwork and the caption, what I really feel is that so much of what I did long before I created Before 5 a.m. And before I was a known commodity, was my pen, my journal, my story, written down, all in little bite-sized little captions, I guess, and little notes here and there, and long essays, and that was my craft. And I was building that craft long before I was ever going to share that with the world. So when I eventually did share it with the world, and I guess it's something you can see, I wasn't completely learning my skill set on the go. I was learning about social media, I was learning how to share that message with the world. But in terms of writing, I was pretty well versed at writing and working through my own ideas and asking myself questions. And I built my life really on those concepts, but where the power comes, where the real story is for me, just looking at this, is that's where I started. That's where I started, man. You know, I was just a guy, just like everyone else in the world, trying to find their way. And it's those hours, 4:30 a.m. wake-ups, 4 a.m. wake-ups. I couldn't get enough time for myself. I'd perform really well in my job, I'd get in pretty early, but I made sure I looked after myself, I worked on myself, I built myself up. And all those years later, I still got to wake up at some ridiculous hour, like before 5 a.m. I don't know why anyone would do it, but if you want to change your life, give yourself the best hours in the morning and build yourself up. And I wasn't really prepared, and even nowadays I'm not really prepared to give anyone or anything else the best hours of the day. After 9 a.m, the day is the day. Whatever happens, happens. The deals that come across our table come across our table. The work we have to do is the work we have to do. But the morning time is my time. It's when I get to do the cool stuff, when I get to write the captions you guys see and the work you see. Most of that's created still to this day in the early hours of the morning. You need to believe that you can do it, and you need to believe that you can find that time. Build your life around your purpose, build your life around the things that matter to you, and I promise you can do something great at whatever level is important to you. And we can all wake up a bit earlier, and we can all work on ourselves, and that doesn't always have to be before 5 a.m. I mean, that's the other thing. Just wake up when you wake up and do something for yourself. If you want to go for a run around the block, do that. If you want to work on your business idea, your side hustle, do that. And I've always thought that was a good way to approach life. It's a pretty fundamental baseline of how you should look at your life. And from there, you can do whatever you want. You can become a superhero. And I guess that's where it all starts. Wake up, work on yourself, get to work, and then go hustle for someone else. Go hustle for everyone else and go make your money. But everything I've built was never tied to those things. It was just tied to me being the best I could be and sharing that gift and talent with the world as fast as I possibly could. And that all started before 5 a.m.